Good evening. I'm here to share with you my tips and tools. Well, not my tips and tools, Dr. Seuss's tips and tools to love yourself to health and wealth. Yes, you did hear correctly. I'm going to share 2 tips tonight for loving yourself to health and wealth from Dr. Seuss. Because I realized when I was thinking or kind of going through some things today to get to this topic tonight that I thought of some Dr. Seuss quotes. So I'll share those with you now. The first tip for tonight to love yourself to health and wealth is this Dr. Seuss quote. Today you are you that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. That's our first tip tonight for loving yourself to health and wealth. The second tip tonight to loving yourself to health and wealth is another quote by Dr. Seuss. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Those are the 2 tips tonight to love yourself to health and wealth. Now I can tell you, I feel a little fired up tonight. So you may, well, I'm not quite sure which direction things are going to go. I'm a little wound up because, well, I think because part of me is angry. Part of me is pissed off that it has taken me almost 50 years to realize the importance of these 2 tips. The first being, no one can be you. You are unique, which means you are special just because you're you. Today, this morning, and having a conversation with my wife, we were talking about awareness and consciousness and our businesses and our lives and what are we creating and evaluating beliefs and looking at what was getting in the way of some of the things that we're wanting to achieve and experience. And I realized one of the things that was holding me back was my willingness to own that I'm special, to own that I'm awesome, to own that I'm unique, to own that I am a fucking badass. I'm the only one who's had my experiences. I'm the only one who can share my gifts in my unique way. The only one who can, show up as me. Who can be a doctor the way I'm a doctor. Who can be an intuitive healer the way I'm an intuitive healer. I know that I decided some years ago, probably too many to count at this point, that I was no longer willing to settle, that I was no longer willing to just get by in my life. And each step along the way of deciding that I was going to create a life that I love and live it now has been about me being me, expressing me, showing up as me, being authentic with myself first, and then sharing that with the world. Because I realized that for almost 50 years, we've been domesticated, trained, educated, coerced, manipulated, judged for how we show up or don't show up. How often in that 50 years did you hear, the most important thing is for you to be you, express you, show up for you, as you. And even if you heard those things, how many times did people actually support you consistently to do just that? Or did you often kind of get bumped or knocked around or even judged harshly in some cases when you actually did that, when you actually showed up authentically as yourself? This word has been popping around in my mind for the last couple of weeks, and that's naked. It feels naked to show up fully and visibly as myself, because I literally have let go of the armor of expectations, the armor of meeting others' expectations, the armor of understanding those expectations of others and going out of my way for others to be comfortable, for others to be comfortable, even at those times where I was compromising myself. The awareness that I had this morning was that I didn't want anybody to be uncomfortable. I didn't want anybody to feel less than, to not feel unique, to not feel special. When I showed up fully, authentically, visibly, as a fucking fantastic being that I am. And then I got to stop and think, like, that's ridiculous. No one can be me but me. No one can be that fucking fantastic person other than me. And it's my purpose to share my gifts with the world. So that way, others can show up as their own fucking fantastic beings that they are. So my first tip tonight from Dr. Seuss: be the you that you are, because no one can be youer than you. No one. No one can do it like you. No one can show it like you. It may feel really easy in some ways to be you and really hard in others. But the more that you are you, the more the more life is going to show up for you. So that's my first tip. Being you brings ease. Being you allows the love to flow, both to myself and then to others. My second tip tonight is don't let others' expectations, judgments, opinions of others derail you. When people really matter, they're okay with you showing up as you, to you being you. It's one of the reasons I married my wife. When we met, I told her I was never getting married. I had gotten married once. I said I was never getting married again. Didn't even know if I was going to date or be in a relationship ever again. And we created our own description of what we were doing. We didn't call it dating. We didn't call it a relationship. We called it a fun-loving, intentional adventure. I didn't want the baggage of past relationships or a previous marriage. And people thought we were crazy. People had opinions, judgments about that. People often made fun of us about that. But yet it was one of the things that led us to allow our relationship to develop, to the point that one day I woke up and realized I was going to get married again. I was going to marry this woman. And I did this past June. And we change, we evolve, we grow. Our beliefs change, our perceptions, our outlook on life, our experiences, how society functions, our culture. All of it is constantly changing. And if we're not looking at ourselves, if we're not reevaluating how we're showing up, how we're living our lives, well, on some level, we're dead. You know, I hear politicians and I hear lots of things being said about politicians, about those who are changing their mind versus those who, you know, have these steadfast beliefs. And they haven't flip-flopped and this, that, the other thing over decades. Well, to me, those politicians, it's time for them to go. Because if they haven't changed their mind about some things in decades, yeah, something's dead. Living life, loving yourself, having health, connecting to wealth, the people who matter won't mind when you show up as you. I had a friend who would share with me at times how people stopped being friends with her, sometimes stopped having relationships with her because they said she was too much. And my response to her was, how can you be too much when you're just showing up for yourself? I shared with her that I didn't think the problem was her, that I thought the problem was the other person, because you can't be too much of yourself. What I would say was going on is, and this is myself included, because sometimes I had to limit how much time I would spend with her, because I could not always handle the fact that when she chose to do something, whether it was go get a bite to eat, whether it was get a new job, or become informed and educated about something, or having fun, she did it 110%. She was all in. She was all her. She showed up big. And in my opinion, we have so few people, even ourselves, who show up consistently 110% as their authentic self, that when it does happen and happens consistently, it feels like way too much, because we're so used to limiting ourselves, putting conditions on ourselves, meeting others' expectations, and caring about what other people think when we are being ourselves. I'm here to tell you that I am continuing every day to take steps to show up fully, authentically, lovingly as the fucking fantastic being that I am. And that's what I bring to the work that I do for myself, for others, and that it's my commitment to me, to loving me, to expressing that authentic me, that allows my health and wealth to, come into being. So again, the tips and tools tonight come from Dr. Seuss. No one can be youer than you. So let the world experience that you. And if other people mind, question if they really matter. You're meant to express and be you. Now, I'd love to hear what you think about, what I've shared tonight. Ask questions, make comments, or if you have another Dr. Seuss quote that you love, or another quote that you love about being yourself, expressing yourself, and and you being the only one who validates you, not worrying about what others think. I would love to hear about it. And I will also put some more information in the comments, because I'm super excited. I am going to be launching a new website probably on Tuesday morning. And as a special to that, I am going to offer 50% off my 90-minute synergy activation sessions when paid for by October 26th. You can also, if any of this resonates with you, or you want to know more about the work that I do, I'll include in the comments how you can sign up for a discovery session And I also have a group synergy activation session at my office tomorrow night. Tickets are $15, and I can only imagine what's going to happen at this one because the last one blew me away. I'll include those details as well. So stay tuned for that information. And again, got questions, comments, please share below. Until we connect again, I'm sending health, love, and transformation to y'all. Have a good night.